Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Atom. This is going to be a lower time frame video. There is a higher time frame video up above, so check that out if you're more interested in the higher time frame counts. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so along with the rest of the crypto world, we've had a bit of a dump here with Atom. Now the question is whether this is actually just still a corrective move and we're actually going to look to push back to the upside here, or whether this is actually looking to break down in a bigger way. So I'm just going to cover something from the macro video, which was linked earlier. So there's a couple of ways we're looking at this. So we're looking for the potential where if we look at this as a corrective move, we could be looking to push to the upside directly. So that still hasn't invalidated, and that won't invalidate until we actually cross $5.55. And then the other alternate way that we're looking at this is that we're still looking for this as a connector wave here for this B wave. So within this, we're talking about the potential of actually looking to push back to the upside. So within both of these, there is the potential we could have a corrective structure to the upside here, looking to move back into this channel line and then actually looking to break down one more time. So we're going to go over the internals of this and what needs to actually happen in order for us still to get that push to the upside. So for the bullish case, we have that potential of this being 1, 2, or alternatively, this could be A, B, and C. Now, the difference is here that if we do actually see this as a bigger F3 off the back of this move, what we'd actually be looking for would be a higher target level here of this 1618 as a possible area. We'd be looking for this as a third wave. Now this is viable for as long as we continue to maintain this low here of this 555. So as long as we got that, we can potentially look for this bullish potential, though we need to be aware this could also just be ABC and come up into this area here. Now the reason we didn't like this as a count was because counting this as a impulse is very difficult. We could argue there is a diagonal in here, but it is once again not the neatest of counts. Okay, so looking at this rather as a corrective move, what we were talking about in the previous video was actually the possibility of coming back down deeper here, looking to retest some of these lower levels. So the way I'm currently looking at this move is that this could be a W, this could be an X, and then this would be a Y. Now the Y has actually come down past this 1-to-1 already, so we need to be aware there is always the potential of reversal. We also did come down to the 0786, but what we could see is within these internal counts here, it is looking like there is still potential to come down a little bit lower. So what I'd be looking for lower down here would be this 1236 at the 663 and this 1382 here at the $6 area. So that would still tie into that idea of this being an A B and looking for this C wave to the upside. Now if we did have to reverse from where we are, we'd be looking for this 2176. Now we do need to be aware, like I said, there is that bearish potential, which we also go over in a second. So if we're looking at this as a Y wave, how could we look at this move as just a corrective move and not an impulse? So because of how choppy it is up the top end here, we need to be careful. So there's either a couple of things. So we can either argue there is a diagonal taking place in this top bit here, or alternatively there's a series of 1s and 2s and then we're looking to break down deeper, or alternatively what we could also argue is that we just have a corrective move where this has actually got a triangle over here where we treat this as A, B, and C for an A wave, in which case what we would have had over here is A, B, C, D, and E into here for a triangle, and then we've actually broken down from that point. So because of that fact, we need to just be on the lookout that possibly we could see this move looking to complete. Now we have come down to that 1-to-1 already. Really, if we continue to push down past this 1618, then we would be looking at a different count here because we would have invalidated that possibility. But technically speaking, we can still see a little bit more downside within this count where we could still look at this potentially as a bullish count, where we could see actually this 1236 hit here towards this 653 or this 1382 towards this 615. But really, once we start to get down to these levels, it starts to become more likely that we're actually going to break this zone. Now, the way that I'm looking at this is if we're looking at this as a potential breakdown from the triangle here, what we'd be looking for is a series of 1s and 2s here. So if this is the case and we're actually looking to break down from here, we'd be looking at this as 1, 2, this is 1, 2 here, and then we'd be looking for this additional 4th and a 5th. So the yellow count here would actually be looking to maintain this area here of this $8.15 as a 4th wave. Invalidation would come by crossing back above this 922. So this is going to be key here. As long as we remain below these previous wave 2s, we can look for that continuation to the downside. So this could even become a 1-2 and start to break down in a bigger way. So really, for the bullish count to actually come back into play, we need to actually break back above some of these key levels for that confirmation that it is a completed move. Until we actually do that, and as long as we remain below these target areas I'm going to be talking about here, this will be my primary count at least. up till this blue count here. So we're going to go over that now. So if this is 1, 2, this is a third, looking for a fourth and a fifth, the typical zone would be looking for would be this 676 to this 638. Then from there, what we'd be looking would be the potential to actually find rejection below this fourth wave. So I do have these target boxes here, but sometimes once we are extending out, these fourth waves might not reach as high as the higher levels of this. So we always need to just be aware that this is just based off of fibs, so it'll actually depend on exactly how the target areas, or as the waves develop rather. Now, if we do get an additional fourth wave up here, failing to break back above this $8.25, what we could then see is an additional fifth wave to the downside here, looking for this $6.36. Now, if we do that, what we also do have is the potential of an additional fourth and a fifth, which if we do come back into the lower range of this, would actually be looking to bring us down towards this 595 to this 558 level. Now, within this count, obviously, if these do start to extend out deeper, these targets may become invalidated. Alternatively, if we push back to the upside and we start to break above these key levels of these fourth waves, that would invalidate this move to the downside. And then what we'd just actually have here is a three-wave move, because at the moment we don't have good structure as an impulse. At the moment, all we have is 3 waves. What we want to see is good 5-wave structure developing. So we're going to go over that bearish count where they're actually looking for the possibility of continuation here. Now, if we are looking at this as 1, 2, 1, 2, we'd get this bigger push to the downside here where we get this 595 to this 558 develop, where we get all these additional fourths and fifths. And then what we'd be looking for would actually be continuation. So before we jump onto that bearish count, what I want to go over is another way that we could potentially look at this move. So either we could argue this is ABC here, we have a triangle in here, and then we look to break down, or alternatively, like we talked about in the previous video, what we could actually have is something more along these lines, where we count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a diagonal, in which case this is a B wave here, and then potentially we could actually just be looking at this C wave. So if we are looking at this as a diagonal pattern here, we can see that we've only actually just come down to this 1-to-1. Now, if we do look to break down deeper here and we move past this 559, then we could argue that this whole move here is a wave 1, this is 2, this would become 3, we'd get a fourth wave up, and then we'd see a fifth wave to the downside. So that would come into that bearish scenario. But really, as long as we actually maintain above these lows, like I said, this 555, what we need to be aware of is there is that potential that this could still be corrective, because we don't have all the structure we need here to confirm it. If we form these additional fourths and fifths and continue to break down here, then get a bigger fourth and a fifth, then this would tie into this idea in this way. Now, the alternate thing that we need to be cautious of here is that if we do continue to just keep breaking down here, what we could have is that this move to the downside here is a 1 and a 2. So actually looking at this as a diagonal pattern rather from this point here, and then we could actually still be within this bigger third wave. We have actually come down past this now. So because we've come down past that, what we need to be careful of is that within this structure, there could be still series of 4s and 5s here, in which case we could continue to break down. So this is why it's going to be key until we actually break back above these levels and actually cross some of these wave 1s here towards this 1028. I would be looking for that potential to actually continue to break down, but we need to just be aware we don't have that structure yet. So for as long as we don't have it, it could also just be, like I said, that we have that triangle in there, and you know, we complete this sequence of moves to the downside, A, B, C, and then we actually look to reverse to the upside. So it's going to be key as to whether we manage to actually maintain this support zone here and this low of this 555. If we do, we could still look for that potential of this actually just being a wave, a B wave, and then still looking for the C wave to the upside. So I haven't written it off yet completely. If it is the case though, we do need to actually see this start to make a turnaround, and we'll see how we react around some of these lower levels. Like I said, we still have the 854 below us at this 656. So if these extensions don't actually push down as deep as we were looking for there, you know, potentially what we could actually see is support come in towards this 663 or this $6 area. So going to keep an eye on these zones. If we do maintain this low, we can potentially still look for this reversal to the upside, looking for either this is a C wave, or alternatively looking for that potential of the breakout, though this is the least likely of the options in my opinion. Looking at some ranges here, as we discussed previously, if we are looking at the upper range here, what we could argue is that, you know, we did see that we lost this point of control and that we actually look to break down. Now, if we do look to continue on down here, what I'd be looking to keep an eye on is this value area low, which is sitting towards this 579. Now, this would be an important level structural wise, as well as we would be moving back into some of this previous structure over here. So keep an eye on this level if we do look to break to the downside. As well as that, we need to be aware there is the potential that if we do look at this as a range in the entire structure that we have available to us, we can see that this point of control is sitting here towards this 525. So if we do see price actually look to continue to the downside here, I would still be looking out for that potential of coming back into this point of control and seeing whether we get a reaction off this zone. Looking at the speed resistance fan, what we can see is that we actually bounced off of this blue line here. Now, it is possible that we could still have continuation to the downside, and what I'd be looking for is, you know, if we do look to continue, whether we get a reaction off this orange line. Alternatively, if we do start to push back to the upside here, I'd also be very interested to see how we react on this top line, as we can see that we were rejected off of this multiple times on the way down here. So going to be keeping an eye on this as price develops here. If we do look to hold this, potentially what this could mean is we could see price be gravitated back to the upside here, possibly towards the center of this channel again, which is sitting towards this zone of this 988. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. See you in the next one. Take care.